almost every single group that I'm involved in on Facebook. That's the only social media that I really do because I'm that age, right? They're almost all lawyer mom groups of some sort, right? So there's the lawyer moms of children who have disabilities, right?
Okay.
It's a very niche group. And then the Peloton lawyer moms. And now there's the single lawyer moms, right? Like there's all these different groups, but it's all lawyer moms. And so there's some diversity there, but only sort of. So these other groups like the Peloton singles group, that gives me a lot of different perspectives that I don't necessarily get other places.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 258. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hi.
Hi. You've had a day.
I've had a day.
He's a little crabby.
I am a lot crabby. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So my day, so I went to get blood work.
This should be the easiest thing ever.
We push it out to LabCorp. I don't know if LabCorp is national or not.
It is.
Good. Hopefully people that work for them listen to the show because your company. And so I get there at 7 because they open at 7 and there's already 3 people in front of me, but that's fine. They got there first. That's the way that works. No harm, no foul. And so we stand there for 20 minutes past their posted opening time. We can see them moving around back there, but they won't open the door. People are banging on the door. I'm not banging on the door, but there are people doing it on my behalf. Finally, after 20 minutes, now there's like 10, 12 people waiting.
This is crazy.
They open the door and like she peeks like her head out like she's Wilson on Home Improvement. And she's like, we're out of supplies. Maybe come back at 1. Okay, thanks. Bye.
And just shuts the door.
Shuts the door. Click. Locks it. And the guy's like, I'm dropping off pee. Like, I'm just dropping something off. Like, what, And so I'm like, ugh. So I go across to the parking lot to Quest Diagnostics. And I don't know if it's going to be there or not. And they're like, no, it's not in our system. And then I call my doctor. And my doctor's like, or my doctor's office. They open at 8. Now it's like 7:45. So I'm like, I'll just wait. So I call them right at 8. Like I'm trying to win tickets to Foghat. Calling them over and over again. And then
these are some dated references.
It rings right at 8 o'clock. It goes off the overnight hold, voicemail thing. And then I'm on hold for 30 minutes.
Oh.
And then they're like, oh, we can't do that. It's only for LabCorp. I was like, I'll pay extra for Quest Diagnostic. Just end my nightmare.
Right.
And she's like, well, there's no one here that can do that. And I was like, you can do that or I can find a new doctor. I've been a patient for 24 years. Like,
and they were like, can't help you.
She was like, and I was like, I'm out. So then I left and I called and got a new doctor. And that doctor was their office. The lady I talked to was like, oh, she's like, oh, I see it here in the system that it's been ordered. You want me to just fax that to Quest for you? I'm like, this must be my trick here because I was told you couldn't do that. She's like, no, not really. I'm like, okay, you solidified my choice.
It didn't help that to get the blood work, you need to be fasted.
Yes.
And so you are flat out hangry.
Yeah, so I haven't eaten in like 15 hours at that point.
And it's reaching critical mass.
Oh my God, it was ugly. It was ugly. And like my doctor's already kind of weird. Like he's said things over the years where I'm just like,
is that true though?
Well, like not bad medical advice, but just like, are you paying attention? Like the one.
Oh, I remember.
The one time he's like, oh, I'd like to see you lose a little bit of weight. And I was like, hey, bitch, I'm 30 pounds lighter than last year. Oh, look at that, you are. I'm like, oh, yeah. And if you'd like to lose weight, I'd like to recommend a low carb diet called eating it.
So Tom's upset.
So anyway.
Yeah, that was like 10 minutes of just you complaining.
Sorry.
Are you though?
I don't know. I just hope someone works for LabCorp that hears this and they can be ashamed of their Oh, I didn't tell you this part. When I go to Quest,
oh geez,
and I say I was over at LabCorp, the lady that works at Quest, you know what the first thing she says? Oh, are they out of needles again? Again? And she's like, oh, yeah, they haven't had needles in 3 days.
I mean, what is happening that they're that out of supply? Like something weird is happening in that lab.
Was there like a Velvet Underground tribute band in town or something? Like, why do you not have needles? What is happening?
No, because all the other places do. So that's just like something's not right.
And then my doctor's office was like, why didn't you go to the other LabCorp that's 30 minutes away from here? And I was like, but won't they be out of needles? No, they probably have them. Oh, they probably have them. Why wouldn't they share them with the other location? If I didn't have needles for 3 days, I think I'd call some of the... Anyway, what do you got on the show this week?
Yeah, so John Mills is going to be joining. We are going to break down the earnings call, and then you can listen to me be grumpy. And then Dr. Jen stopped by. And one of my favorite questions we've had for a little bit is balancing cross-training schedule and holding yourself accountable. Josh Vernon, this is for you. Tons of instructor news that we are going to hit. We've got homecoming updates galore. Angelo from MetPro stops by. We talk about maintaining discipline during the weekend, which is a little tough for some of us. And there's lawsuit updates, there's competitor updates, there's, in case you missed it, we have all kinds of stuff. So lots and lots to come today.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. While you're there, maybe leave us a review. That's always a pleasant surprise. And
maybe not based on your opening.
Unless they found my anger funny. Sometimes people do.
Yeah, you're just angry today.
Yeah. And you can also follow us so you never miss an episode. That's good as well. And if you want to stay up to date on things throughout the week, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, check out our mailing list. We're going to throw a lot of links at you and stuff, and you can get them sent to you in a nice, easy digest once a week if you sign up for our mailing list at theclipout.com. And finally, if you want to see how red I get when I tell that story, you can check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/theclipout. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills from Run, Lift, Live. Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, the energy. The energy.
There you go.
Listen, I saw that you had a petition, and before I even had a chance to give money, you already raised all the money. Tell us about that.
Crazy?
That was crazy.
What? Okay, so we did the petition a year ago for Prince Mortimer, the slave that's buried beneath a park in Wethersfield, and we're trying to raise awareness of his Revolutionary War service and his life and what happened with him and the whole deal. And so we did a petition for that last year, and it got 2,500 signatures.
Yeah.
And then we eventually got some acknowledgement from the city of Wethersfield and the Historical Society and a bunch of places. And they agreed to find the location where he's buried under this park and put a marker there. But they were like,
but we ain't paying for it.
Yeah, it cost like $3,000. And and I was like, well, I think I can try to raise some money. Let's see if we can do that. So then I just created a GoFundMe and threw it a bunch of places. And like in a little over 4 hours, we had the 3,000.
Boom.
Nice.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I'm so glad that you were able to do that. That is so cool.
Absolutely.
It was crazy. Like I had just been talking to them in email. I was like, $3,000. Okay, well, let me see. And a few hours later, I'm like, okay, we're done. Okay, what's next? 3,000. Okay.
You were probably
Check.
already doing the math of like, well, if I could get to 2, I could probably throw in 1. Like, right? Like you're like,
I literally was like, okay, well,
even
I don't know, maybe
half,
we'll rent 1,000.
Yeah, you start like doing that.
I'll pay for the rest.
Right.
I literally was saying that. And then all of a sudden, it's just nuts.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, good work.
Yeah, good
And
job.
good work to
Josh.
everybody who helped too.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that donated. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, I'm so appreciative of all the, we got, and it wasn't a whole lot of donations. It was like 75 or something like that.
Yeah, big money.
Big money
donors.
Really fast. We got them really fast. and we funded it. So now I'm just working with the city on the design of the marker, and wow.
That's incredible.
Nuts.
That's incredible.
That's
You've
awesome.
done so much with this. It's amazing to see this take place. I'm so proud of you. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait for the unveiling. So
Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Do you have an ETA when that occurs?
Yeah, like how long does that kind of process take? Are you
I
talking?
have no idea how long, it's city government.
Right.
Right.
They are
be
not
next
known
year.
for
For a while.
moving quickly. Even after you choose a design, it'll be like 3 months before they approve it, if it's anything based on how they work here.
I mean, I work for county government, and to show you how slowly they move, I still work there, right? Like they haven't gotten around to firing me yet, so it's a slow crawl.
Do they know how you just talked in the
That's
opening?
slow.
I don't. I'm still mystified. I'm like, what's a guy got to do? Like,
Crazy. So when I find out, I'll definitely be letting folks know.
Absolutely.
I want as many people as possible there. I've talked to the author of the 2006 book that talks to prison reform, and then he starts talking about Prince Mortimer's life and goes into detail about it. And he told me, yeah, let me know when I'll be there. So we got people that are prepared to come. So we'll see.
Well, if we get enough advance, we'll try to make it up there and show our support. That would be cool.
That'd be nice. That would be real cool. Be awesome.
So I guess we ought to talk about Peloton stuff
let's
too.
dig into Peloton stuff.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
So,
John.
this will be easy. I'm just going to be like, so that earnings call.
Oh,
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
I mean, wow. Okay, so last year, this quarter, they lost like 9 million, and then this quarter they lost 757 million.
It's just a little bit.
It's a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more.
We were like 2 minutes in, and I sent you a message. I was like, what the fuck?
I'm like, this is crazy. What was like wild about the whole thing to me is they send out the investor letter.
Right.
It's like, what, 2 pages?
Yeah.
And we're so used to these decks that have the instructors at the top, and they're in like some motion, like,
Yeah.
and it's all fancy. And then John Foley would be, it'd be all this dialogue from him and all this stuff preparing you. And then the numbers will be like, there'll be some summarization at the top, but the real numbers will be like on page 4, 5, 6 or something.
Yeah, no, that's not what happened here. It was 2 pages of a letter, single space, plain font, no frills, no nothing.
So it's like the report I had to do on Brazil when I was in the 3rd grade.
Yes, it was exactly like
Did
that.
it the night before.
Yeah,
Right.
but then
like
we
4
get,
lines a
Mom
page.
helped. It's like, I need a glue stick.
but then we get on the call, and I'm running, so I'm doing my scenic run. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen.
Right.
I'm gonna do, and all of a sudden it's like, so William Lynch, he quit the board. And that's all we're going to
He's
talk
out.
about. So let's take your questions. I was like, what? I think I got whiplash.
That's right. Uncle Barry was like, he's moving on to other opportunities, and we're not going to regurgitate what's in the letter.
Yeah.
So questions.
What do you want to know?
I was like, wow. Either that is like, he's just really like black and white, cut and dry. We're about business.
I don't know what that is.
know.
I'm starting
What
to
was
wonder
it?
if he lacks social skills. Like, listen, I know a lot of people are like, oh, John Foley messed it all up, and here we are, and Barry's got to come in and fix it. I'm not even going to weigh in, yes or no, on that. All I know is the man needs to warm up a little bit, just a little bit. The demeanor, he sounded bored. He sounded annoyed. He sounded confused. I was like, what is happening over there? I left like at the end of an earnings call with John, like you talked about that one where they lost 9 million, billion, whatever it was. Okay, last year. Remember how we left that and we were like, yeah, but I still felt good at the end of it. Right. Remember that? Do you remember that? Yeah, this
kind of. It's distant, but I remember.
Okay, but this I left feeling like, oh my God, are they gonna survive? I thought they were. I was feeling real good about it. Then Barry started talking, and now I don't know. That's how I felt.
I was a friend of mine who's also an analyst, and he was saying he was all positive.
Really?
Like,
what the
Barry
hell
knows how
did
to do
he
this
hear?
stuff.
What was he hearing?
Barry knows subscription business. the orator stuff, okay, maybe that's not all that great, but you got to look past that. He knows what he's doing. Like, I was like, wow, maybe it's this, layman John. Like, I'm just looking at the surface, and I don't know how to decipher that. That's what I was thinking as well. But yeah, it's just, he doesn't present.
He doesn't present well.
But the core thing that was interesting to me is to learn that J.P. Morgan Goldman just within a week had just given them that loan for $750 million, and they had $879 million now in cash and cash equivalents. I mean, what does that mean? They would have been broke if they hadn't got that loan. Is that what I'm hearing, or do I not do the math right?
I mean, that is the math. I don't know. I guess when you back up and you kind of look at it, not only is the loan a concern. I mean, Barry said he was positive. He was like, right. I feel really good about the subscriptions. I feel really good about all this. But then he said things that were the opposite of good. Yeah, I mean, the logistics were just a mess. Everything's a mess, Yeah, that's what I said. And then when he's like, I was actually really surprised by the level of talent here. Seriously, Barry? Seriously? They can hear this, right?
They can hear you. You're saying that out loud.
Yeah, that's not in your head.
Yeah. Well, you said he said it multiple times, right?
Yes, he said it twice to two different questions.
I started wondering, is that, again, layman John, I don't know. Is that a strategy? Is it a strategy?
For what?
People in the corporate world, CEOs, let me know. Is it a strategy to go, I'm going to let you know how horrible this place is, so you'll figure out how great I am? Was that what that was? I don't know. What I was kind of lost at that.
I don't know. I thought that he was using it to justify that there were still people left they hadn't fired. Honestly, that's how it came across to me. And
well, you know what?
What?
I was really, I'm a big fan of Jill Woodworth, and she just seemed like the most knowledgeable and most,
She answered in full, complete sentences that were coherent.
As she always has.
Absolutely.
She makes me feel comfortable every time.
She didn't sound like herself, though. Her voice did not sound confident. It sounded unhappy. Maybe I'm reading into it. I don't know.
It's not a fun time to be there. I get that it's not the gravy days of the pandemic. That sounds weird to say out loud.
I know it does.
But
it's backwards.
but that was through no fault of their own.
Right.
Clearly, unfortunately, it was a very good time for them monetarily.
That's true.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it's, not a good call to sit through. I will say we're going to change the name of the podcast to Thinly Capitalized.
And without that $750K from J.P. Morgan Goldman,
it was real thin.
It would be real thin.
Real thin. So some things that stood out to me, though, I felt like it was interesting that he talked about how the app was very important to reaching their goal of 100 million subscribers. And I guess the way he answered questions and then what I know about Peloton, I was hearing it as, we're probably going to be really aggressive on selling the app and pushing it. And combined with the fact that they want to be really aggressive in worldwide growth, it sounded to me like that they are going to consider, at the very least, putting the app out in other countries before they put the hardware out. But they haven't quite figured out what the play is to make it differentiate from the all access level.
Right. Yeah. So, I think that idea makes perfect sense, right?
I do too. I do too.
Like the Fit On, remember Fit On we talked about last week, and they don't have any hardware. They got 10 million subs. Again, a little bit different. They got freemium as well. But the idea of getting where you're going to have the highest margins, just the app out and utilize that as much as you can, see what you can get out of that, makes a perfect sense to me, right? Then you don't have the hardware to deal with. I mean, that makes sense.
It does.
I actually do like a lot of the stuff that Barry has been taught.
So do you think we see branded Peloton bikes go away and they license it to other brand? Like, could you do NordicTrack on a Peloton class on a NordicTrack bike?
I don't know, potentially, but I haven't heard that yet. What I did hear from Uncle Barry is he's like, we're going to use other retailers.
Yeah.
I heard him talk to that.
He did.
That sounded a lot like what you see from Echelon.
I got scared. I got scared.
Like I'm going to be in Costco.
I was like, okay, Costco I can handle, but y'all need to stay out of Walmart. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
He also talked about how, to get into a place where it can just be shipped and it doesn't require an install. Those two things together.
Okay, but like,
right, sound like we're now talking about models that we've seen with other bikes.
Agreed.
And fitness products.
But I heard that about the tread. I didn't hear him say that specifically about the bike.
So if they want to get the tread to the point that they can ship it to you instead of deliver it to you, then does that mean the Tread Plus is never coming back? Because that thing's a behemoth. You cannot ship that and tell somebody put it together yourself. And
what came to my mind is that thing becomes like a Peloton commercial product or not at all.
Right.
That's what came to my mind.
Which I said.
You said that from day one. At the very beginning,
I was like, I don't know that you'll ever see the Tread Plus again.
You said that the second it got recalled. And what's interesting is they still, so when I heard from people, the Peloton prophet, if you will, prior to the great axing of 2,800 people, everyone was saying that Tread Plus is still coming. That is still in progress, still happening. Okay, but I don't know if that's still the case because now they're talking about changing up how they market things. They're talking about changing up how they ship things. And they've changed logistics carriers. They want to be in all these other markets. So I have no idea now. And they haven't said a word. People have asked a million times, what are you doing with the Tread Plus? And the answer is,
I think everything's on the table. I think when Uncle Barry came in, everything's on the table.
I know.
So anything might be different. And that to me is one of them. But
it's interesting. The company has zero incentive to announce that they are going to go ahead and put the Tread Plus out after November. Like zero. Because if you have one and you know one's coming, you might as well send it back.
Right.
And get a free one. Get a new one.
That's right. That's right.
But if they're not going to be coming out with one, then now you're stuck with this thing. So
that's the dilemma I think everyone is in. Like, I have one as well. I know you have one as well. And I've been thinking the same thing. Do I just sit here and wait and then after November, then that's it? They're not selling those no more? And what does that mean for support of what I got? And like, I'm in that same place you're talking about. I don't know. Should I just be sending this back? And
I don't know, but I really love my Tread Plus. I love how it feels on my knees. I mean, I love the size. I love it works perfectly. It's been perfect for me. I've never, knocking on wood, had an issue, not one issue with it, and I don't want to get rid of it. So
it could be a collector's item.
Yeah.
Could be. And it sounds like they're still taking a hit on people sending those things back.
I know. So many people are getting the smaller ones too. So that's a thing. And then what does this mean for the rower that's supposed to be announced on Friday? I mean, people are going to be listening to the homecoming stuff Friday morning. They're going to be hopefully downloading this podcast. I don't know. There may be an answer to the rower before this is even out there. And I don't know. We're going to see.
If you're trying to get to, I mean, we talked about this a few weeks ago that I don't know how big is the market for a rower. We talked about the biggest player in the space. They got 200,000 subs. So I mean, I don't know. What do you gain? How much do you gain out of that?
Okay, but then
versus the potential for issue and challenge and greater logistics and I don't know. Like, so that made me start questioning it too. Like,
I agree with everything you just said, but my brain immediately asks myself, but then what about all the sunk costs? Like, because they've been working on this for 5 freaking years.
Well, they've already hired a rowing instructor, right?
Multiple.
And started creating content, it sounded like.
It's in the system.
Yeah.
I mean, the code is there. It's been there for over a year. To John's point, I saw him post the other day. Yeah. And so we know it's out there. We know the instructors that they've had for a long time have rowing backgrounds. So we know this is all coming. But now I'm scared it's not. So
yeah, in listening to that, the earnings call and how it played out and the things that we heard them say, Yeah, it makes you start questioning that. Like, should they do that?
Yeah.
Will they turn away from that? Even though we've been hearing it forever that it's supposed to be released at homecoming. But yeah, I came to the same place in my mind.
I guess that question at least will be answered on Friday.
A couple of days, we'll know.
We'll know. So what else did we miss, Tom?
Well, we have articles from CNBC talking about how Peloton CEO was surprised by how deep some of the
issues
ran at the company.
Okay, so this is when he started talking about how the company got hacked back in, it's been years. I don't remember what year. I don't even know if he said a year, but back at the beginning of Peloton, it got hacked. And I guess ever since then, they've kind of been behind the 8 ball with issues when it comes to engineering and being able to push out updates. So I heard it, and John, correct me if I am wrong, I heard it as, hey, we're having all of these issues. We're really slow to push things out because everything in the platform needs to be rewritten from scratch.
You know what I got from it? I don't remember. I'll tell you what I took from it.
Okay.
What I took from it when I heard that was, oh, that's why the innovation has been so slow.
Yes. That's
what, right? Like we've been talking about that for a long time, and we've been wondering you say you're a tech company, and tech company has, frequent release cycles now in this day and age, and they're pushing stuff out quickly, and innovation moves quickly. And we were always questioning, like, it doesn't seem like they move that fast. When I heard that, I thought, okay, well, I guess we just heard a reason why.
It's so weird, though, the things that he will talk about and the things he won't talk about. Like, really? Like, I'm not even upset that he talked about it. I'm just like, the things they don't tell you. And then all of a sudden, he just drops this bomb in the middle of like an earnings call. I'm like, what?
That's why he's Uncle Barry.
He was trying to make me fall off the tread.
That's right. He's that uncle that be at the family picnic that just will say anything. You don't know what might come out.
Yeah.
That's why.
Exactly. Yes. So that was the big thing. And also how the logistics are crap and how they had more talent. That was the second time he mentioned the talent he was surprised at.
He was surprised that they had more talent than he thought they had.
Yes. And he also, another thing that I want to put out there for people to consider, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but did you hear kind of like in between, like maybe retail is not such a good spot for them? Like maybe retail might need to, take cover, maybe?
I've been thinking that might be the case, but I didn't hear that. I must have missed that.
To me, that seems like low-hanging fruit.
That just sounded logical in my mind. I've been kind of assuming that might be.
Yeah, I'm not lobbying for it. So anyone that works at a store listening to this, I'm not trying to get you fired. But
we love you guys and support you guys.
But
yes.
I think if they're looking to partner with a retailer, well, if you can get space and kiosks set up in Target or Macy's in different markets, why have retail locations? Why, I could see them keeping a few, boutique locations in really big cities, New York, LA, Chicago, but St. Louis? Why? Well, just throw one in a Target. Like, that's good enough for St. Louis. That's
my fear. That's where I'm seeing it. And the other thing, somebody said something about cutting costs, and he was like, well, I'm not saying anything either way. I don't want to signal anything, but I mean, we're looking at things. And I just heard that as, there's another round of layoffs. I mean, that's what I heard.
And I know some people are thinking that the instructors might start to feel it. And I could see to attrition, if some quit, they're not going to rush to replace them. But I don't know that getting rid of instructors saves them all that much money. Plus, if the whole thing is to pivot to this app, then they need to be creating content nonstop. And you've already got these people on the payroll. Put them to work. I don't understand why they have so many people. Like, the amount of content
compared to the number
of instructors they have. I do not understand that ratio. And so
welcome to the club.
Yeah. So I don't get why you would, I don't think getting rid of a couple instructors is going to save you that much money, because the real high dollar ones, you better not get rid of. You better not get rid of a Cody or a Robin or,
oh my God, there would be anarchy.
Yeah. People would be apoplectic. But, and so the ones that are lesser known, probably don't save you that much money anyway.
Comparatively.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I guess I was just reading between the lines, and that is where my mind went. Just between all of those things.
I mean,
and I don't want to be right, but
yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I doubt the store employees cost them all that much money, but
the retail space.
But the rent does. Mm-hmm. You know, because they're always in the high-end mall for that market.
I will say a counterpoint to everything that I just said is that they know for a fact that they are trying to offload the Ohio Pop Park, and that's going to be a significant amount of money. They were saying like 500 million. It might have been billion. I don't remember. But it was a lot of money, and they were expecting that to hit in 2023 calendar year. So maybe they're kind of like hoping they don't even have to have these conversations and dig that deep, because hopefully they'll sell that property and it'll all just work itself out.
Yeah, because that property isn't just a property, right? It's like a building there. Like they had already started construction. They had a building there.
And there's got to be a finite number of candidates that want a facility like that, especially in Ohio. No offense, Ohio.
Well, I mean, it's flyover country like we are. So
totally,
they do have a lot of distributor companies.
Sure,
there,
I mean, because they're centrally located, so
Right.
it makes sense from that vantage point. But I just, again, but still, at the end of the day, the pool of companies that need a space like that is certainly finite.
I would also just like to sum up and say I am not against what Barry is trying to do, and I don't feel like we've had enough time to see whether or not it's going to work. I feel like we need more time. I just wish he would be kinder to the people that work there, because he's not. That is all.
What was interesting to me also about the cause, their goal is still the same, like to be cash positive by
2023
sometime in fiscal 2023. And so, considering the numbers that I heard and the outlook that I heard, seems like you're gonna have to pull a lot of levers, to get there. That's why everything you said, and in my mind, I'm like, I guess all that's on the table.
And maybe they're like, let's put the rower out there and see if we can make enough money off of it. Let's put the tread back out there. I mean, those are counterpoints. I have no idea that's what they're thinking or not thinking.
I've heard once the rower hits market.
Oh, boy.
What?
That's right, John. Hide.
I've heard that once the rower's released, R&D's been given a new assignment, and the next product is going to be a new COVID variant.
Oh, Tom. Joking, guys. Joking. Don't at me, at Tom.
If you do, at me on Instagram, because I don't pay attention to that. I forgot my password.
I shouldn't be laughing at that, huh? But it's kind of funny.
He has that effect on people.
I'm like laughing, but I feel bad for laughing.
I know. It's like 1 million people died. We can't laugh at that. But we just did.
I'm all in conflict in my head.
Well, the joke isn't about the deaths.
I
the joke's
know.
about
that's why we're laughing, but it still makes us feel bad.
Didn't get vaccinated.
I did. Thank you.
I know. So in the middle of all this, they also went fishing for money. We didn't really talk about that too much.
We did. John mentioned that. He said that he was really surprised that was the big news that boom, they asked for this big loan.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was not insignificant. Massive.
And you see how like they just kind of threw it into a sentence, like we were supposed to just kind of miss that. Like we might not have read it.
It was just, I think it was one of those things like, well, if we just don't call attention to it, it's not important.
It's like when you're reading your report card to your parents.
And you just,
you're like, oh yeah, I got a B in English and a C in algebra. I got a D in math. And then I got Gem. I think we all know I would have got the D in Gem. But
probably in bold.
Just threw that in there. Fair. Oh yeah, and that $750 million, we got this week. And by the way, they just went right past it like nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, did he say they just got $750 million? I was so shocked. I started texting people. Did we already know that?
I know. I saw you post it. You were like, did we know? No, we did not know, John. We did not know.
Like $750 million. That's like 2 Iron Man movies. That's.
I love how you always relate it back to pop culture.
That's a lot of Iron Man movie.
Yeah. Except Iron Man movies make money. Oh goodness. So I think there are certain, especially the investor class, I think they like the no nonsense. I'm gonna come in here and kick butt, but like you can only get away with that for so long, and then butts need to actually have been kicked, or people are gonna, they want to see results. And so I think right now they feel like at least this guy is looking at this product realistically, and that
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
Nobody asked a question about the minority stakeholder. Not one person brought that up. Like, there's been so much craziness.
Yeah.
We didn't even remember to ask that question.
That was 2 news cycles ago. We moved on.
Too much stuff happening.
But
That's old news now.
But I do think that that Foley was very much a positive. He had a very positive look, and as I like to say, when you look at the world through rose-colored glasses, red flags look just like regular flags, and that can be a problem. And this guy sees everything as a red flag. But maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. I don't know.
He'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like when he said, "There's more talent here than I thought." I wonder if they were like, "Thank you."
I think. Yeah. Like, was that a compliment? There were people like having conversations. Did he just say that? Oh my God, he said it again. He said it again.
Should I be happy or offended? I don't know.
His idea of a compliment is like, "Well, I didn't fire you, did I?"
Yeah, he's one of those people.
Yeah.
Go find that new minority stakeholder. Well, I don't even know where to start. Just do it. Yeah. I said, just do it. Go do it. I don't want to hear any excuses. Just do it. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if he was visited by 3 ghosts on Christmas Eve.
He is curmudgeon-y, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
I picture him in one of those like old-timey sleeping gowns.
Yeah, he's got the robe
with the hat and the candle,
with the
candlestick with the little handle. Yeah.
That's right. He walks all hunched over with the candle.
And for our fans of Victorian literature, I should say, yes, I know that he was visited by 4 ghosts.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Oh, yeah, you might have got hit up.
Because people think about the 3 and they forget about Jacob Marley.
That's true.
He was visited by 4 ghosts, unless
oh dear,
you are following the Muppet Christmas Carol, in which case he was visited by 5 ghosts.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
That needs to be your new gift.
Whatever you say, man.
Okay.
He's like, whatever, nerd.
I'm gonna try the Uncle Barry tactic on on Erica tonight, and we'll see how if it works.
Are you sure? I'm worried for you.
She's gonna bring me dinner, and I'm gonna be like, this is better than I thought it would be.
You better start a new GoFundMe, because Prince Mortimer is not the only guy you're going to be buying a headstone for. I'll tell you that.
Unless you bought that you got takeout from somewhere. You are treading on thin ice, my friend. Forget thinly capitalized. You are thinly iced.
You mean she won't take that as a compliment? Is that what you got telling me?
I don't think so. I think you're going to get one of those silent looks.
Yes.
Like she just says nothing. She just looks at you.
Oh.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
If you can.
If you're able.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John, for helping us dissect all that. And until next time, where can people find you?
They can find me on my Facebook group or page, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on the Tickety-Tock, Run, Lift, and Live. Or they can find me at Run, Lift, and Live or runliftlive.com. Either or.
All the places.
Yes, all the places.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jen.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She was a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics, and she has a wonderful app called No More Diets that you should check out. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hello. Hi. So we have a question for you from Josh Vernon. He is struggling with cross-training and prioritizing that schedule without having a coach tell him what to do. And I know usually your advice is to tell people to talk to an expert. Do you have any advice for somebody who's kind of trying to do it just on their own without a coach?
Well, I think that what you really want to do is to kind of lay out your week and to really, you want to look for balance. Like we've talked about before, you don't want to do tread 5 days in a row. You don't want to do bike 5 days in a row. And I think that a lot of the time people really neglect a lot of the other Peloton classes that, and now there's like boxing, there's, the whole boxing boot camp. You've got tread boot camp, you've got bike boot camp, you've got cardio. I think cardio classes are the one thing that I feel like nobody talks about. And maybe I'm just like not in the cardio loop, but I do cardio classes twice a week. And to me, it's kind of this, I personally have a love-hate relationship with them, but they've made such a difference in my strength and my endurance. And every time I take those classes, by the way, I'm like, how does anybody do this? Like I struggle so much and I'm in such good shape that I'm like, how are so many people doing this class and surviving it? Like there's one class Daniel has, it's 20 minutes. It's like 20 minutes of squat jumps. I was like,
nuh-uh.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's insanely difficult. But anyway, I digress. But it's really important that like you have that kind of variety and that you don't just get stuck on one thing that you're doing over and over again. And one of the things that I love is kind of this new Peloton thing where they're showing you what muscle groups you're working with each workout. And you can really look at, okay, am I getting a balance? Am I doing upper body and lower body? How much core am I doing? Like what muscles am I using? And I think that you kind of want to divide your workouts into kind of looking at in terms of your muscles, your upper body and your lower body for the most part to really simplify. And you don't want to be doing a bunch of lower body in a row. You want to make sure that you are balancing, typically people who are weight trainers would be like, today's upper body, today is biceps and chest, today is, lower by glutes and legs. And so really kind of looking at making sure that you are resting one body part and working the other body part the following day. But chart it out and also make sure that you are being reasonable with your time expectation. And that can be really challenging. And Crystal can speak to this because we worked out together that if I haven't pre-planned something, I can spend 20 minutes picking the class. I can spend an hour picking the class, especially if it's a long run. And like you're really kind of ambivalent about it. So planning classes in advance, going on Instagram and looking at other Peloton obsessives who post their workouts, because a lot of the time you'll see a workout and then you get excited about it. You're like, oh, I can't wait to do that Cody class. Oh, that music. I know I love that song, or that's a really funny thing that he said. So kind of giving yourself kind of some treats, workouts that you can look forward to kind of helps that. But really the key is that balance and making sure that your time management is good, that you are not overbooking yourself and then failing to complete your workout because you didn't allow for enough time.
Yeah, I like that. And Tom does that on Tonal too. He always picks out his workouts ahead of time because if he doesn't, then he won't do them.
I'll bail. And Tonal's helpful in a way that I think Peloton isn't, because Tonal has programs. And so you can pick a program that lasts like 4 weeks. And so I'll select that program and I like it because when I'm done, when I go down for my next one, I just go to day 2 or day 3 or day 15.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no thinking is involved, and because if I go down there and spend too long looking for stuff, I'll talk myself out of it. And so when I'm done with a program, I'll literally sit there and pick the next program as soon as I'm done. So when I go down next time, I don't bail, you know. So I think that's super helpful.
Also bookmarking classes, because what I do is that if I'm in a rush and then I have to take a class, like I'll go through, I'm very music based in what I pick. And so if I'm really in a crunch, I'll just be like, okay, what have I bookmarked and not taken in this time category? Like, okay, 30 minutes bookmark, not taken. And then maybe I'll be like, oh, I'm in the mood for Olivia today. And like, I'll see, okay, what have I got that's Olivia? And then I can just press a button and just commit.
Yeah, that's
It
a good
helps.
plan.
Absolutely. I have no doubt. And, you know, going back to what you were saying about cardio and how you feel like people don't talk about the cardio classes, like, I wonder if some of that is because, like, I think people think, like, well, the bike's cardio. I don't need cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been stunned at how difficult those classes are, but also what a difference they make in strength and endurance.
Well, they do, because it's conditioning. It's body conditioning. So it's not just one body part. So to your point, very effective.
Yeah.
But you're sure not going to convince people to take it by telling them it's 20 minutes of jump squats.
Oh, yeah. So I started out with 10-minute classes, and then like now I do one 10-minute and one 20-minute a week. I dread the 20 minutes. I'm not going to lie. Look, I am a truth teller, as you know, but on the flip side, when I complete it, I feel like a champ. Even if I feel like, wow, I really sucked at that. Like, that was so hard. I can't believe how hard that was. I still feel like I've climbed Mount Everest.
It is very effective.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for all the great tips. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media at Dr. Jen Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann. I post all of my Peloton workouts on Insta stories. You can also find me every week in Style Magazine. I have a weekly column called Hump Day with Dr. Jen.
Instructors in the news.
Well, our tarot card reader was correct. This one's
for you, Erica McLean.
Yeah, we have yet another Peloton instructor with child.
Yes, Jess King announced on her live house ride this weekend that she is pregnant. She then was in Shape magazine talking about the difficult journey that she had been through. I guess that she had to have multiple rounds of IVF. It's just not fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And that, I mean, I don't think these fertility journeys are ever easy.
No.
They sound just exhausting.
Yeah.
And stressful. So Jess King also went on live and she kind of shared her story a little bit, and she showed off her baby bump, and they seem very happy, her and Sophia Eurista. The other thing is, going back to the tarot card reader, we are now on pregnancy watch for like 4 more instructors. And I have gotten multiple messages. I don't even want to say it, but let's just say that it will not surprise me if in the next 4 weeks or so we get more announcements. I'll just say that.
Okay. Well, watch this space.
Yes.
The 33rd annual GLAD Awards were held on May 6th, and one of the hosts was none other than Cody Rigsby.
Yeah, and I know we talked about that this was going to happen, but if you scroll down, his picture was in there, and well, maybe it was in a different...
I think it must have been some...
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was a different one. I'm sorry. I made you open this link for no reason. Wah, wah.
That's okay.
Okay.
It was still worth reporting.
Oh. Well, we talked about it last week, so I was a little repetitive. Sorry.
Well, it was going to happen, and now it happened. Ta-da. And we have a trifecta of Tunde stories. She was, her publicist is working overtime.
Yeah.
But she was on the Tamaron Hall show.
Yeah. Which I didn't even know Tamaron Hall had another show other than the true crime one. So that was interesting. Just I didn't know that.
Oh, she has what's her true crime show?
It's the one that she talks about, like, her sister died. And I don't know the stories because we never ended up watching it, but I saw commercials for it all the time because, you know, we watch a lot of true crime.
Totally, yeah.
And so there was like a time period where I was seeing Tamaron Hall, like, just all over the place.
Gotcha.
And now I never see her, but I think that show is over. And I think that's why I don't see her. So anyway.
Yeah.
Little side note.
Yeah. And then she was also spoke to a website called Coveteur.
I wasn't sure if it was coveteur, like you
Coveteur?
coveted, like
Okay.
coveteur.
You got me.
I don't know. But she talks all about soul care in this article, and it's got lots of good little tidbits from Tunde, so that's fun.
Absolutely. And then finally, in our Tunde watch.
Yeah, because again, she's everywhere.
She is. Real and Revlon join forces to provide access to mental health care for May's Mental Health Awareness Month, and Tunde will be hosting one of their panels.
Yeah, very cool. Congrats to Tunde. I am so glad she is just breaking in all the success. I'm very happy for her.
Homecoming update.
So homecoming, it will be happening by the time this episode drops.
It will. It will. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, because I think we talked about this last week, that the member meets weren't back for homecoming.
Right.
But they are.
Oh, okay.
They didn't put anything out there talking about it. So I don't know what that's about. But at any rate, you can still do it. So if you go into the homecoming website, which is homecoming.onepeloton.com, when you go in there and say like, I'm in, then kind of like new information pops up. And when you do that, it shows you that you can create your agenda. And then it talks about that you can video chat with members across the globe using one of our favorite returning features, which is member meets. It will be on the left navigation bar, and it will randomly pair you with someone somewhere in the world united by a share of Peloton. So pretty cool. Everybody really loved that. I'm really glad it's back.
Absolutely. People got a big kick out of that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that they're doing are these like group meetups. So Peloton Australia, Germany, German ladies, Peloton UK, Ben's Army, Peloton newbies. It goes on and on. But there's a whole list out there for Friday and Saturday. Tons of different groups that you can join for both days. So make sure that you check those out if it's something that you are interested in, so that you can join in with other people that you have things in common with. Together we go far, Robin's Wolfpack, Irish Yanks.
There's a bunch.
Tons. Oh, and I also wanted to mention, while we're talking about homecoming, you remember how people were getting those gifts for 15,000 minutes from last year, and I thought they would be here in time for homecoming? Well, they never included Canada and the UK.
Right, I remember people being upset about that.
Well, this week, people started getting them in the Canada and UK areas, and so ta-da! They're now getting clothing gifts from the boutique in their area, like where they live.
Oh, okay.
Also, about homecoming, people are getting shout outs via email for things like the most PRs, most high fives, etc. So if you get an email, check your junk mail folder. If you sent a lot of high fives, maybe my stalker is out there somewhere. And you might have gotten an email shouting you out. Virtual shout outs.
Peloton in the news.
Peloton released a new commercial.
I love it.
I watched it. It was really good.
Yeah, and I've had some people telling me that this like made no sense because of the Vikings. They threw a lot of people off. But I took it as like, no matter what situation it is, the instructors can motivate you through it. That's how I personally took
I thought it was highlighting the instructors and their motivation techniques, but in a humorous way, because it's like, here are these Vikings where whatever Cody's saying would make no sense to them.
Yes.
And, so it's like him leading the charge in Braveheart.
Yeah, exactly. And my favorite is when he says, "You're like a plate of fajitas, sizzle, baby."
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at you. I love it. That was my favorite part.
But I think this is smart. I think that this is a good pivot for their marketing campaign to highlight instructors. I know that I feel like in the past they've been a little worried about potentially having an instructor get so popular that maybe they could get held hostage by him or her. But I think they have enough names that have serious followings at this point that I really think you need to leverage that, because at this point, that's the biggest differentiator between them and something like Apple Fitness. Nobody knows the name of an Apple Fitness instructor.
Yeah. Do you remember back in like 2017, the first time we saw a commercial and Alex Toussaint was on it? I mean, I like almost fell over myself trying to get to the television to record it.
Yeah.
And
now we don't even stop on the DVR because you see it so frequently.
Yeah. So
I mean that in a good way.
Absolutely. But this kind of brings that magic back of like, because that's probably one of those 4 instructors. It was Rad, Jess Sims, Cody, and Adrian Williams were all up there. One of those is probably on your radar as being an instructor you really love. So being able to see them up there and motivating is just really cool.
Absolutely. We now have Peloton Radio.
Yeah, did we talk about this last week? I honestly could not remember.
I don't think we did.
Okay, I really could not remember. I know I posted about it, but timing,
Yeah.
Okay, so Peloton Radio is when you take a scenic class. If it's distance-based or time-based scenic class, you can now choose from different radio stations while you're taking the class. It's interesting because they're curated radio stations, and they still have odd music in them. Like, I was listening to the rock one yesterday when I was listening to the earnings call. Now, I had the sound down, but I could still see the songs that were playing.
Right.
And so I just kind of thought it was weird because it was everything from rock, considered everything from Depeche Mode to like
alternative rock.
I mean, I know, but I just expected.
You normally within rock you have certain subgenres. So alternative rock lives in one world, and classic rock in another,
Exactly.
and oldies, and you totally.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they will continue to make changes to this. But a big thing that I've already seen people say is we need a skip button, and I do agree. There is no skip button, and there were songs that came up that had I been listening at full blast, I would have been like, nope, thank you. And that's just they need to add that.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm hearing positive things about it. People like the ability to be able to change the music for their different classes they are taking, and I think that this might lead the way for us to have more classes that are kind of like on the side of lane break, where you might be playing a game or following music in some way that does not include an instructor, or like the new deep house classes that have been coming out of Germany, where they say nothing except cueing you to do different things, and they're quiet the rest of the class. So I think you're going to be seeing more and more of that type of test to see like what works with people.
And you might see a skip button over time, because I think the way the royalties work is that if you have control over the music, then it costs more because they don't want you to be able to kind of pick. So if you can select, it costs different. So like sometimes I know like on tonal you can skip, but like at some point it stops letting you skip.
It does.
And so my guess is that might be a reflection of different royalty revenues.
Well, that'll be interesting to see how it evolves over time.
So if you love your Peloton guide so much you want to get up in its guts.
I mean, that's one way to say it.
That is one way to say it. Is there another way to say it?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think there is.
I was just going to say Bob Tremor tweeted this. That's all I was going to say. I guess after a certain amount of time, they have a confidentiality period.
Yeah.
The FCC can then release the internal photos of things. And so now there are internal photos of the guide, and Bob Tremor posted them.
So if that's your jam, here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point, if somebody really wanted to see one, they could crack it open. Because, I mean, you do see like videos on YouTube where somebody's like, I'm cracking open an iPhone. And I mean, clearly there are people out there that want to see it. I'm not that guy. But as I've said before, I don't even change my own wiper blades. That's what I've got you for.
Exactly. So I'll report on it.
Peloton in court.
We have an update in the iFit Peloton advertising trade secret suit.
Yeah, so you might remember back in 2020, God, that seems so long ago. That was when there was a restraining order and injunction asked for by, I think it was Peloton, put it against iFit because they said that like somebody had been selling trade secrets to iFit that worked at Peloton. And so there was this lawsuit. It's been going on back and forth. Well, this week there was movement on it. And where we are right now is that a Delaware federal judge Friday tossed Peloton's lawsuit accusing fitness platform iFit of accepting pilfered Peloton advertising materials in violation of the Defend Trade Secrets Act, canceling a jury trial that was set to start on May 31st. There was just a brief docket entry, and the judge granted iFit's still sealed motion for summary judgment in the case Peloton filed against its rival after discovering a prop master hired for a Peloton advertising project emailed company materials to an iFit manager.
Corporate espionage.
Yes. And so when you read through this, the interesting thing is there's going to be another, like a judgment coming
Right.
And they're going to explain themselves. But right now, there's no explanation.
Interesting.
So there's nothing to back up why he said this. And maybe this is normal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just found the whole thing fascinating.
Yeah.
Very cloak and dagger.
Totally.
Because of course it is.
Yeah. And it's also weird that the court seems to be like, oh, no big deal. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's probably a certain amount of that to be expected, and it has to be pretty significant to rise to the level of true corporate espionage, maybe?
It's just weird because as the person who was not kind enough to send me the wording for this article, because it's through Law 360, which costs like $1 billion.
Right.
This person said, the ruling doesn't seem to follow the facts here unless there is some particular element of the Defend Trade Secrets Act that is missing and is not explained in the article. So I think we will hear more on this. And
maybe the information they sent just wasn't that big of a deal? I mean, it's a prop master on a commercial set. Like, what are they really going to say?
Because if it was a commercial for one of these new items, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we will. I mean, obviously, we will continue to monitor this.
We will.
The Coop Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo. Crystal reached out to the community, asked for your nutritional questions, and you provide them, and then he answers them, and then I sit here and do nothing for like 6 minutes. It's great.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Hi, Angelo.
Like perfect arrangements.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
You notice how you're doing work, I'm doing work, the community's doing work, and Tom's doing nothing.
And?
He's making sure we have a fun experience, and he does that job with style.
All right, Angelo, fine.
He keeps us laughing. That's
He does, absolutely.
And Angelo thinks that I'm correct. We heard that a few weeks ago.
Once in a while. Every once in a while.
I'm still clinging to it.
Yeah, we know, Tom. Okay, well, Celine Dissel responded, and she says that she's doing MetPro with the basic app. And exactly. And she's doing great during the week, but then she completely falls apart on the weekend. Ouch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, guess what? On all programs, that is human nature. You know, we have our routine during the week. You know, Celine, I'll tell you a story. I had for years, I worked with a group of teachers. They're high school teachers. Every one of them said to me, you know, this is actually going to be really easy during the summer because I have all this free time. It'll be harder during the school year.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Opposite.
Other way around, across the board, the entire faculty that I was working with, other way around, because what we find is when we have, and here's the big secret and the big trick and my advice to you, Celine, routine. When you have a routine in place, it's actually easier for you to stick to it. So if you want to have an indulgence on the weekend, have an indulgence, of course. And the nice thing about the app is it's going to acclimate for that. So it's not going to penalize you if you have a meal off track. What it's going to do is it's going to weight that data with less relevance and say, okay, it needs to wait a few more days to get quality data on days where you're nailing it and you're real tight on the program. But I would encourage you to make a concerted effort to stick to at least the daytime routine as best as you can. And what that might entail is during the week, still do a little prep for the weekend. Even if it's just like lunch, even if it's just snack. What you'll find is if you go into the weekend having that, usually you can corral any misgivings into nighttime eating or dinner. And, a good way to do it is if you like eating out or if you want to have a social engagement when you don't want to feel like you're on a meal plan for any given meal, just insist on quality foods. Don't insist on any meal plan or any diet. Just insist on quality foods. You'll find that typically, now there's exceptions to this, but typically healthy food tends to be cleaner, lower calorie, closer to your goal meal plan than convenience foods. So it's not that we like It's not that we like, fast food or it tastes better than, having a fancy seafood dinner or a steak or lobster and a fancy salad. It's that it's quicker. It appeals to our palate and it's instant gratification. Go to a nice dinner. Go to maybe either a fancier place or a place where you can order something clean, because you're not going to do it every night. So you're not going to hemorrhage money. You're just going to do it once in a while. But go to a place that serves quality food and let your hair down a little bit. Enjoy yourself. Versus the second it's Saturday, it's so easy to fall into that mindset of, well, it's the weekend. I'll just hit the drive-through. It's quick and convenient, and it's the weekend. Because then you can, without even realizing it, undo a lot of your efforts during the week. So my 2 recommendations is pick your indulgent spots, restaurants, meals, etc., in advance, and be a little discerning about that. Go with insist on higher quality, avoid convenience foods where possible on the weekends, and try to keep as much of your routine intact, which usually means during the week doing a little extra prep. So at least something like lunches and snacks are ready to go for the weekend. And that will help prevent it from going way left field over the weekend, even if it's not perfect.
I definitely agree with having that ready is a huge help to me personally.
Momentum plays a large role.
It does. When you're tired and lazy on the weekends, man, it's easy to just reach for whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of that. If people would like nutritional advice tailored to them for their fitness goals, where can they find you?
Metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Checking out the competition.
So Yahoo Finance has an interesting article. Peloton struggles provide a hint for Lulu Lemon.
Yeah, and you might remember from a while back, Lulu Lemon purchased Mirror. They paid $500 million for that acquisition. Right. And everything kind of points to it's not going that great. Now, it's a small drop in the bucket for Lululemon, so it doesn't really seem to matter.
Right.
But everyone is kind of pushing Lululemon. Like, what are you doing? Like, get rid of it. Get it out of here.
Right.
The interesting thing is that instead of going that way, they have doubled down and they are now adding it to their app. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. We will see, but I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah.
So there you go.
In case you missed it.
There is a homecoming apparel sale currently taking place.
Yes. Every day this week, 7 days of surprise promotions. So today it was like buy one bra, get one bra. People are not very excited about these promotions. I have gotten multiple messages saying, where are the deep discount sales we have come to expect from homecoming items?
Yeah, I mean, I think also they've run so many sales at this point, it's getting harder and harder to impress people with sales because it's kind of becoming expected.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Peloton artist collaborations.
So we have 2 new artist collaborations. The first is from Fleetwood Mac.
Yes, you will see classes popping up this week. So if you haven't seen them already, go check them out on the schedule. There's going to be a whole bunch of them, and they're all going to be covering Fleetwood Mac songs.
And then also, on the other end of the musical spectrum, you have Yo-Yo Ma.
I thought it was Yo-Yo Ma.
It is. I was channeling my inner Les Nessman.
Okay.
Chai Rodriguez.
I actually get that now.
Yes, because I've been making you watch WKRP.
Yay.
Yes.
So Yo-Yo Ma, he plays the cello for anybody who does not know.
Yes.
And there are going to be classes this week with Jeffrey McKeckern, who is in Germany, La Tia Mariana, who that's her Instagram name. Mariana is, I don't know if this class will be in Spanish, but she teaches Spanish classes often. And then Bex Gentry. And we also have a class with Christine Dierkel. So lots of classes with Yo-Yo Ma.
Yeah, and he does lots of cool covers. He does a cover of Adele's Cello. He does a cover of Todd Rundgren's Cello, It's Me. He does.
I see what you're doing.
What?
It took me a while.
He does a cover of the Cars, Cello Again. And he also does a cover of the Beatles, Cello Submarine. You thought I was going to say Cello Goodbye. but I'm not.
I had no thoughts whatsoever where you were going. I just let you go.
Wait, did you just fire me? I got let go? You're the second wife to do that to me.
As in, let you go on.
Oh, okay.
Peloton birthdays.
So we have 2 birthdays coming up this week.
We do.
Peloton related. One is Matty Maggiacomo on May 16th.
Yes, there's going to be a Tread birthday party for him. So join his live class on May 16th if you want to be part of it.
But before that, and even more important.
I don't know about that.
Well, it is to us.
It is to us.
The Clip Out. We turn 5 on May 14th. So if you have gotten us a card, you should send it to us. And if you haven't, you need to add it to your list of things to do. Happy birthday to us.
I can't believe it's been 5 years.
I
Congrats on 5 years, honey. Happy clip-iversary.
Thank you. And you too.
Thank you. Aren't you going to say clip-iversary?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't like to do cheesy jokes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't go that cello.
Oh, God.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Holli Houston. Hey, Holli, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you guys?
Good. Excited.
What a fun name to say.
It is. Yeah, it's very, the alliteration makes it a lot of fun. Do you kind of have fun saying your name too? Do you say it a lot?
I do. It's interesting. I got divorced right before like the pandemic started, and I considered changing my name, but I don't know. It just kind of fits. It's all right. It's easy enough, right? Like, yeah.
Yep.
So I left it. I left it alone.
I
totally get it. It's easy to spell. People know how to say it. And it's got, I would think you have a name where people like always want to say your full name.
Yes. And my maiden name was very German and no one could pronounce it. And it was spelled, I had to spell it out for people all the time. So this is much easier.
I love it. I love it.
Speaking of someone who has a punctuation mark on their last name, I feel you.
Yeah, that took some getting used to, I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pain.
Every time we go to the airport, there's a problem. I assure you.
Oh my God. It's the worst.
Yeah.
But anyway.
A lot of people still mispronounce Houston, like Houston, as we were discussing beforehand with the New York thing, but also just other pronunciations that you would not expect. And you're like, how Houston? I get that sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
It's a big city. You would think people.
One of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Maybe people are just overthinking it, Like they're like, oh, it can't be that simple, Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm giving people credit.
I don't know. People are weird.
That's me being positive today.
Yeah.
So, Holli, how did you originally find Peloton?
So I had been hearing about Peloton for years. I'm part of a Facebook group. Well, it's no longer a Facebook group. It's defunct, but it was called Law Mamas, and it was for lawyers who were mothers.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on that website had Pelotons. And this was, 2017, 2018. And I was like a gym person, right? I taught spin classes at a gym for a while.
Oh.
And so I was like, I don't need this. And then in 2019, I don't really even remember why, but right before Thanksgiving time, I was like, you know what? Oh, I was commuting back and forth between 2 houses every week. And it was like 2 hours in between. And I wasn't making it to the gym. And I was like, you know what? This would just make it so much easier if I had this at home. And so I decided to get it, and I got it at the Black Friday sale of Thanksgiving 2019. So my timing was impeccable.
Yes, it was.
Hey, at least
I got it within like a week or two. I didn't have to wait wasn't there a time when it was like months that people were waiting for their bikes?
That's what I was about to say. At least you got it, but you got it in before the shutdown, because after the shutdown, things got hairy from a waiting standpoint. So that's
yeah. So, and it changed my life, right? Like it's the bike that goes nowhere that changes people's lives. So
it does. Yeah. So how has it changed your life? What's going on?
Yeah. So I got the bike. I probably got it in December, right, of 2019. And things in my marriage were terrible. But I hadn't quite like made my decision about what I wanted to do. And then finally, I took a class. I took Christine's pink ride. I don't know if you've taken that ride, but I know, Tom, you haven't taken that ride because you don't. But,
precisely.
Yeah, but I took that ride, and it was the first ride that I had ever taken with her. And the very first song that she plays in her playlist is called Courage. And the lyrics of the chorus are, right, like, have I the courage to change? And I don't know what it was, but just in that moment, I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta do my life differently. I got to get out of this situation. And so I did. And that, like, I mean, it wasn't that song made me get divorced. That ride made me get divorced, but it was definitely like the thing that I needed to push me over the edge and actually make the change that I needed to make. And I didn't have Instagram at the time, but I got Instagram sometime in 2020, and I found Christine's page on there, and I actually wrote to her, and I was like, your ride like changed my life. And she wrote back. She commented back, and she was like, you changed your life. And I was like, yes. It was fantastic. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I have a real special place in my heart for Christine.
I bet. Yeah.
I bet.
I remember when I was going through kind of figuring out, I was in the same place in my first marriage, and I was like, what did I want to do? And I wasn't really to that point. And I remember somebody said to me, that it was like, well, I think you've already figured out what it is you want to do. You just haven't figured out how to do it. And there was something about that sentence that just like clicked for me. And I feel like when you're making a major life decision like that, that's a lot of times what happens. Somebody or something happens that speaks to you in just the right way, and it clicks in a different way, and suddenly everything is very clear of how you need to do it.
Right. That, you know, you process and you think, and it was years in the making, right? And then all of a sudden it was just like, I'm ready. I can do this.
You know,
all three of us have been there.
Yes, exactly. And we often have Dr. Jen Mann comes on the show every week, and she always gives advice to writers. And she always says that people hear the rides they need to hear. Like that a lot of times that you will pick a class and not realize what you needed until the end. But it's like you get something out of it you didn't expect. And I feel like it sounds like exactly true for you.
Yes. No, it was, yes, I think that's really accurate. And sometimes you know kind of what you want or need out of a ride. And so you select one based on, you know, whatever it is that you're going through at the moment. And sometimes classes just like hit you out of left field. I mean, I had no idea. I don't know if you are familiar, Tom, I'm sure that you're not, but like the outfit that Christine is wearing in that ride, it's like this leather bodysuit, black bodysuit with these pink and black striped leggings and this jewelry that's out of control. I had no idea that I was going to get something like life-changing out of it. I thought it was just going to be a fun ride, right? Like with great music. So yeah.
You know, that ride is famous for another reason. I don't know if you have heard this story, but Christine had actually kind of been called out on social media about her size, and that was the infamous clapback ride. I believe the first version got taken down, and I don't know whether you are talking about the first version or the second version, because she quickly redid it. But both of them were amazing. So
well, it's the one that's still up there, so it must be
so it's the
edited
second
version.
Yes.
But yes.
So.
Yeah, she's so great in that way too, right? Like she also has her 60-minute Women's History Month from March of 2020. And in that, I think it's that ride where she talks about people are saying things to her like, why do you talk so much about bike racing? Stop talking about bike racing. Why do you talk about your weight so much? Stop talking about your weight so much. And she's like, if you don't like it, ride with someone else. And I'm just like, yes, right?
There are lots of instructors.
Yeah. Like
That's
at this
right.
point, there's 54 instructors across all platforms. So
Holy
you should be able,
smokes.
right? You should be able to find somebody that you mesh with, because if not,
That's
maybe
right.
it's not them. Maybe it's you.
right? If you don't like any of them.
Well, now we have a great title for this episode. Christine D'Ercolo breaks up marriage. So,
Right? Yes. She's fully to blame. She's fully to blame. In fact, my son, he's 14. It was, early in the pandemic still, and I wasn't dating because I had just gotten divorced. I'd been married for 14 years. Like, let's just take a little break. And he came up to me and he was like, Mom, I know why you're not dating. And I was like, oh, do you? Why is that? And he goes, it's because you're in love with Christine and you want to marry her. And I was like, facts right there.
Well, there are worse people you could have a crush on. That's for sure.
Right?
I think I just got a better headline.
Christine keeps people from dating. Yeah. It was pretty funny. It was really cute that he said that. So.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I'm curious, does that mean that Christine has become your favorite instructor?
She is definitely my favorite instructor. I do like others, though.
Sure.
I mean, I have a whole cadre that I ride with. But yes, Christine is kind of my go-to first choice, unless I want like a Tabata ride. And then I go to Hannah Frankson because she's so adorable and her workouts are so hard. And you're like, how is that possible? You're so adorable and you speak so sweetly, and now you're going to kill me. But yes, I do Power Zone training. So now that Christine, she's been doing that since 2020, and that's really great as well.
Yeah, that's a whole new version of taking her classes then. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've done her, the Holli Houston series, the 5 climbs.
Yes.
I've done that a couple of times over the last 2 years as well. So
All 5 of those classes are still up, right?
So they got rid of one of them in one of the more recent purges. There was some discussion that she was going to redo it. I don't know if she has. I haven't tried it since then. I have made it sort of my Memorial Day event.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So we'll see if I can do all 5 this year, and one of them will be new.
So, yeah. What are you doing for Memorial Day? Oh, climbing a mountain. No big deal.
Yeah. I'm riding my stationary bike for 5 hours straight. Like,
totally normal, right?
Doesn't everyone do that?
It is on this podcast.
People are like, oh yeah, I just hung out in the backyard drinking beer and, playing lawn darts. And I'm like, oh, I rode my bike for 5 hours.
Yeah,
and now I can't walk.
Yeah, but your bragging rights are cooler.
Yeah. But they don't have an official badge, right? I feel like Peloton used to have an official badge for doing that, but they don't.
That would be a good one to have.
Survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, so you said that your original kind of group of choice was the Law Mamas one. So if that's no longer around, what did you pivot to, if anything?
Well, so there's a sort of a spin-off group just for Peloton. So there's Peloton Law Moms now. So that's kind of my primary Peloton group would be that. And then they have their own Power Zone team for the Power Zone challenges. So I'm in those. But I also am part of the Peloton singles group.
Oh.
Which is fun. Yeah, it's fun. You learn a lot on there, I tell you.
Oh, like what?
What does that mean?
Become
might
single
have another
and you
new
can find
headline.
out too, right? Like,
wow. So I think we have yet another headline. Now she's trying to break up our marriage. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's not that exciting. I mean, it's a great group, but you guys have a good thing going. You don't need that.
I was going to say, after the Christine comment, I don't know which one of us she's trying to go out with.
Why has it got to be just one?
You guys would fit right in that group.
Well, hopefully we don't find out.
Yeah. Hopefully we stay married.
Yeah. No, but that's a fun group, and they do a lot of meetups, which I haven't done any of those because pandemic, but it's fun. You get to know people and see different perspectives. I lived a little bit of a sheltered life, and it's fun to meet people in different avenues. And almost every single group that I'm involved in on Facebook, that's the only social media that I really do because I'm that age, right? They're almost all lawyer mom groups of some sort, right? So there's the lawyer moms of children who have disabilities, right?
Okay.
It's a very niche group. And then the Peloton lawyer moms. And now there's the single lawyer moms, right? Like there's all these different groups, but it's all lawyer moms. And so there's some diversity there, but like only sort of. So these other groups, like the Peloton singles group, that gives me a lot of different perspectives that I don't necessarily get other places.
I love how you worded that. You're like, I lived a sheltered life and I see different perspectives. I mean, that's just refreshing to hear after hearing what people say to each other every day when they don't agree on things. Thank you for saying that so gracefully. That was nice.
Yeah, well, got to expand your world vision a little bit.
Amen. Yeah. And you mentioned in there that about having kids with disabilities. Does your son have a disability? Is that something that you would like to share? Or if not, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can share a little bit. I mean, his story is his story, but it's also it's like my story. Yeah, my son has some fairly significant early childhood trauma that has impacted his life. I adopted him when he was 4, and the first 4 years of his life were pretty rough. I mean, they were pretty rough. And so he's got some stuff from that, and he presents a little bit like he might have autism, but the testing on that has been inconclusive, but it presents very similarly and is sort of treated in similar fashion. And he's got really high anxiety. Like he doesn't leave the house ever, really, except next week I'm taking him to Disneyland, and he's excited about this. Ooh. But like, we'll see how it goes because he's going to have to actually leave the apartment. So we'll see how that.
And that's sensory and that's like sensory overload. Like a lot of times, if a kid's on the spectrum in some capacity, they have sensory issues as well, and so like that's a lot to take in a place like Disneyland.
It is.
Yeah. And he really does like Disney. He's been to Disney before. But I think that because there's so much to do, that helps. And I'm going to structure it very well. Like we'll go for a few hours in the morning, and then we will go back to the hotel and rest for like 5 hours, and then go back in the evening and hopefully avoid, all of the kids at 2:00 throwing their after lunch meltdowns when they really need to be napping, but their parents are like, "No, I paid $100 for us to be here today. We are sticking it out. It's going to be fun." So I did.
So you've traveled with us?
Oh, that's not the kids. That's me and Tom.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, get a snack. You'll feel better.
Yeah. I'm like, they got a bus. Yeah. Take it back to the hotel. What do you mean for? I'll be over.
Right?
I'll be on Space Mountain.
People are like, you're taking him there for 5 full days? I'm like, because we need to make them shorter days. So Disneyland, you really can do in like 2.5 days, but we're going for 5.
Okay. So. That makes sense.
That takes the pressure off, though.
It does.
You don't have. You don't feel like you got to cram every magical moment in, like So yeah.
That's right, because it's only fun as long as it's fun, right? So.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense to me, and I think that makes you an awesome mom because you're paying attention to what your kid needs. So hats off to you.
I mean, I love Disneyland too. It's not a huge sacrifice to take him. But yeah, so that's my kid, and he's had, his challenges, and it's been so amazing to connect with other moms who have children who have issues like this. And a lot of the people in the group, their kids have very different issues. In this group that I'm in, there's a variety from physical disabilities to cognitive disabilities, the whole spectrum. But there are a few people, right, who have kiddos who show up very similarly to my son. And like, how would you find that for all of the things that social media can be bashed for, right? Which is a lot of things. There are a lot of bad parts of social media. And at the same time, like, I've made these friends. In fact, the woman who referred me to you is someone who I know through that group. And we have actually met, right? Like, we do these retreats a couple times a year in various places all over the country. And it's been amazing to just sit down with women where you don't really have to explain anything. They just sort of get it. And that's been really great.
Yeah, where else can anybody get it on the exact same level? What you're dealing, the exact challenges you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, I totally get that. That's amazing.
And have patience. If your kid's having a moment, they're not going to give you the stink eye because they know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. It's a very judgment-free zone of people coming in, and it's also great because a lot of us, we have to celebrate really tiny things, right? You see people posting on social media, oh, my kid got named to their travel soccer team and they're an honors student and they're graduating and they're going to Ivy League institution. And we're like, my kid went pee in the potty today, right? Like, and the kid is 12, right? So it's like, it's just a very different level of celebration, but it's still a celebration, or parents who have their kids who are nonverbal, but like one day they'll say, love you or something. Aww. And it's like, amazing. Right. And so we really we just bond over those things of posting these little things that most people take for granted. And it's wonderful. It's a great community.
What a wonderful perspective. That is important to remember. Maybe that'll give me a little more patience for my teenagers who.
Oh, the teenagers are hard. Yeah. Like, let's not joke. Teenagers are hard, right? Like,
she's like, oh, I didn't mean about teenagers. They're the worst.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I was all about perspective and patience, but not for the teenagers.
It's so interesting. People kind of ask about my relationship with my son because I have him full time, right? Like, he never goes to see his dad. And that's hard, right? Because he also doesn't want to leave the house, but he's getting to that place where he's fairly self-sufficient, right? Like, I can leave him home for a while by himself. And people are like, what is it like? And I was like, well, it's kind of like having a roommate who doesn't clean up the kitchen and I have to remind him to bathe, because he just smells so bad. I don't know at what age dudes start to care about the fact that they smell bad.
Usually it's when they like girls
14
enough.
is not it yet.
Nope.
You're right there, though. You're right
close.
on the cusp.
You are so close.
I have two boys, and it was like 13, 14 for both of them. It's like once they kind of discovered the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's their jam, but once they start caring about other people romantically, they start figuring out, like, I should probably not smell like this anymore.
Yes. Tom is accurate.
I think it also it creeps up on them, right? Like, there's that age where they can get sweaty, but they don't necessarily stink. And then one day they do, and I don't think they realize it. There's like a lag.
They don't know their radius of stench yet.
Yes.
Well, and I think that maybe there's some extra delay because of the pandemic and the wearing of masks.
What a great point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In Oregon, we only just got the clear to stop wearing masks in public places this week, right? So we've been wearing, I don't know where you guys are, but
we're in Missouri.
Oh, okay. So you guys haven't been wearing masks for a long time.
It's actually they actually made it illegal to cover your mouth when you cough here.
They're like, we want us all to get sick from all the things.
We go ahead and wear the masks, though, just to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm still wearing a mask out in public right now because I don't want my Disneyland trip to get derailed.
Don't blame you.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I have been cheating on my Peloton a little bit since August. I have joined a yoga studio in my little town here. And it has become my primary source of movement. I go all the time and I love it. And one of the classes is hot yoga, right? So it's 105 degrees in there and you're wearing a mask and it's so swampy and gross. It's really disgusting. But now you don't have to wear masks. But I went today and I was like the only person in the class wearing a mask, which I'm not sure if that's actually effective because no one else is wearing their mask.
Right.
And,
It depends on the mask.
It does. Yeah.
If,
yeah, but
if
you can't wear like
the N95.
N95 in a hot yoga class.
But a KN95, that's a little bit easier of a breathe. That's my mask
I think
of choice.
it still might be tough in a hot yoga.
It might be, yeah.
It's like,
but better than an N95.
Yes.
Well, right. And so I still was wearing my mask today, but I'm kind of used to it, right? Like I'm kind of used to just that like swampy feeling now. It will be very strange when I come back from Disney. I think I'll probably try it without the mask and see what happens.
I know, it's scary times.
Yeah, it is. It's such a weird shift when the first time you like go into a store without one on, and you're just like, am I going to explode?
Right?
Yeah. Well, in here, right, in Missouri, I'm sure it's very different, but here to not wear a mask was a very like charged sort of political statement, right, in a store, because you're required to, until last week, you were required to wear them, but people wouldn't, right? They would. And so it was just sort of very easy to like spot who is making a statement here, where now like
you can't tell anymore.
No. I went to the store and about still, even after the mandate, about 50% of people were wearing masks, but a large percentage of people were not. Like it was very strange to see someone without a mask until last week.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I walked into a place the other day that was still requiring masks. It was a medical facility, and I forgot to grab one. I was like, I'm not making a statement. I forgot. Like,
forgot.
Just
you have one I can wear.
Yes,
preferably not used.
Yes, I'm not going to scream at you.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for sure.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So, what is your leaderboard name?
Oh, my leaderboard name, it is already _not yet. And when I first joined the bike, I I had just my name, right? I was just H Christine. Christine is my middle name, and that's what I don't know. I must have been like 14 when I got my first email account, and they were like, "Don't use your first name, right? Like somebody's going to find you and kill you." So H Christine has always been like what I've done for my usernames on everything, and so I was just H Christine on the bike. And then Christine said something like, if your leaderboard name doesn't inspire you, change it. And I was like, okay. So she's basically like run my life. She doesn't know it, but like I do whatever she says. And so I was like, well, okay. And I was thinking a lot about how I've been in therapy for a long time and was now getting my life back on the fitness track. And I was like, you know what? So many people are like, I'm broken and I'm messed up and I've got to make myself better and I have to do all of these things. And I was like, you know what? I'm already pretty awesome. And I'm not yet as awesome as I could be someday.
Aww.
So I'm going to keep working at it. So my leaderboard name is already not yet.
I love it.
I love it.
That's a great, and I like that you gave us the whole history behind it, because sometimes people don't feel like it's a good story, but yours is a great story. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I had a different leaderboard name that I thought was kind of funny, but then I thought it was too culturally misappropriating, so I decided to not do it. But the Law Mamas, right? Like they would call themselves llamas, like because they do. And so I was thinking like the Holli Llama, But then I was like, that might be offensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it.
I can see the play on words, and I love the creativity with it. That's really good. Yeah. And I can also see why you would be concerned about that.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need to make controversy where there doesn't need to be controversy.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. There's enough in this world. Let's not go looking for it, I guess.
That's right. There are much better things to like die on your hill for. That's
absolutely
not one of them.
Yeah. So I guess we don't need to ask who your favorite instructor is.
Well, we did already, kind of.
Yeah, I think we've established that. We also, by virtue of definition, I suppose, know who your ex-husband's least favorite instructor is.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's also his favorite instructor,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
I will say that I did the You Can Run program last summer. I used to be a runner, and then I wasn't for a long time, and I decided to try to get back into it. And I did that, and I really I had never taken a bike class with Jess King, but then doing the running classes with her, I really enjoyed her quite a lot. And so she's become like my favorite tread instructor. I don't have a tread, but I use, the janky one in the gym at my apartment, or I just run outside. And she's quite different than Christine, right? So
yeah, that is a definite difference. I also think it's interesting that you found her over on the tread and then tried her bike classes. I don't think I've heard that particular scenario before, so that's fascinating. Yeah, I love that.
I really like her, and I really like Matt Wilpers, right? Like, he's just so steady.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's just a steady instructor. But I don't love running with him, which is interesting. But I really like the bike, and so they're all just different, and each platform is different. Like Matty Maggiacomo, he's so fantastic.
Oh my God, I love Matty. He makes me happy no matter what. If I can be in the worst mood ever and take a Matty class, and I am smiling by the end, and I love that about him.
Right, even though he's like actually killing you.
Yes, I'm happy about it.
Right? Yeah, you're like, do it some more. It's fine. Yeah, his Hamilton run is like my favorite run of all time. For a variety of reasons.
I can't pick just one. Because whenever he brings out Mora, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many good Matty ones. That's tough. But we're getting into like my favorite instructor, so that's where I go for on the tread. He's my favorite.
Yeah, I actually just did randomly my first run with John Huskin.
Yeah, he's great. Great.
He was so fantastic. I did his just 20-minute premiere run.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. So I'll have to check out more of his stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if you've tried out Jocelyn Thompson Rule. I absolutely adore her. She gives such great instruction. She's amazing. Really good.
Yeah. I took one with her last week, I think. So yeah. I didn't love the music, but it was stuff that I just wasn't familiar with. So I think I need to get into a class where I know the music that she's doing and see how that jives.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for people that are just now entering the world of Peloton?
Oh, get people to like do this with, right? Because I have these different groups, right? Where, there's some women in the Law Moms group that all ride together every weeknight at 8:15-ish, right? We're the 8 to 15-ish crew. And that's at night, right? Like most people don't ride at night, but we do. And then the Power Zone Challenge teams, and just having people who are like, this is the ride that we're doing and this is the time we're doing it. Get on and do it with us. And having that community, I don't know that I would have been nearly as successful on the bike if I hadn't had community for it. Which I'm assuming that people already know that if they're listening to the podcast, right? Like that they're part of a community and they're interested in what people have to say. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I think for me was having the community. I do the hardcore on the floor calendar. Well, I try. I'm not very good at it, but just even having it laid out, right? I learned that our decision-making energy, like every decision that we make draws from this bucket of energy that we have, which is also the same bucket that willpower comes from. And the more we can like sort of automate our lives, the more willpower we have to avoid making bad decisions, whatever that means in your life, right? For some people, that's food decisions. For other people, it's other kinds of decisions that are not super great for us. And the more little decisions that you have to make of what class are you going to ride or which strength workout are you going to do, like the more you can just take the decision making out and you just say, this is what I'm doing because it's what someone told me to do, like the more energy you have to make better choices in other areas of your life.
Excellent advice. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everyone know where they can find you if you would like to be found.
Oh, well, I'm on Facebook and my name is Holli Christine on Facebook because I don't put my last name on there. Yeah, I'm not that interesting. So I don't know. I don't have a fun Instagram account. I do have an Instagram account, but I don't even remember what my username is on it.
Newsflash, they just sat through a whole interview with you, so they think you're interesting.
Well, I mean, they're not super wrong about that, but my social media isn't that interesting. I don't post a whole lot on anything, although, I'm in my groups. I'm pretty active in my groups.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
We do.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. And have a great rest of your evening.
You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Clip out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and anywhere on the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/TheClipOut. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheClipOut. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running.